In this video, I'm going to talk about why I think real estate investing is the best way to become a millionaire. And I'm going to talk about my journey on becoming a millionaire. I'm going to talk about how I've created a portfolio of almost $2 million and have a net worth of just over $500,000 at the age of 28. And this is all without having any money to start with and coming from a family with no money at all. So I had nowhere to get a small loan of $1 million, for example, from. And later on in this video, I'm going to share one of the best ways that you can duplicate real estate and duplicate your income. And I'm going to talk about how you can leverage the little money that you may have into real estate and create a huge portfolio over a couple of years. And definitely leave a comment, tell me what you think. Have you started investing in real estate? What's your personal journey like? One thing I hear a lot from people around my age is that there's no way for them to buy a home in this market, especially or at all, because homes are so expensive and they can't get a down payment of 20%. But I'm going to talk about how you can buy real estate for with as little as 0% down and how I've leveraged these programs to buy real estate and how you can as well. So just to give you a brief background about myself, I came from a family with very little money. In fact, we had to worry about how much money was in the bank account in order to buy groceries or other things that we wanted. And growing up like that, I never wanted to worry about price tags on food or toys or anything like that. I wanted to be able to buy anything that I wanted and not worry about it being in the bank account. And so I think that's one of the reasons that I was always looking for ways to make money, make a lot of money, to become a millionaire. And becoming a millionaire for me is not really about the money, it's just about the options and having the choices to do things that I want to do. And so many of you watching may have struggles, you may have debt, you may have stress in your life that money brings on. And I never wanted to be in that position where I had to stress about money. And I want to share a lot of these details so that you can learn from it and you can do the same thing even younger than I was. Because I wish I knew all of the things that I know now when I was like 18 years old, because I would have become a millionaire many years ago. And academically, I wasn't really great. I was basically a C student at best most of the time. So I knew that school wasn't probably going to lead me to anything substantial as far as creating a lot of money. But funny enough, in high school, I did get into software development, which is what I do professionally now, along with real estate. And while I have been able to create a pretty great career out of my software development experience and make a very healthy six-figure income now, a couple of years ago I wasn't making anywhere near this much money. In fact, 6 years ago when I bought my first property in Boston, I was making about $35,000 to $37,000 a year from my job. And so I had to find creative ways to buy real estate and buy a lot of it and figure out how I could duplicate that effort. I originally almost bought a condo, which would have been about $420,000. But luckily the deal fell through and I was able to get invested into a duplex instead. And this property was only about $567,000. And again, this was back in 2015, so prices today have gone through the roof compared to that. But anyways, the only way I was able to buy such an expensive property with such little income was because I could use the second unit's income from rent to qualify for the loan. And I used an FHA 3.5% down payment loan in order to buy this property. So I only needed about $20,000 down payment to buy a $567,000 property that now today is worth about $1.1 million 6 years later. But basically what I was doing was house hacking. I was buying a multifamily property, living in one unit and renting out the other. This essentially meant that the second unit was able to cover almost 100% of the mortgage payment, and I was living for very close to free. And so this is the number one suggestion that I have for any of you watching that want to get into real estate. House hack, because you don't need a 20 or 25% down payment in order to get an investment property. You're able to buy a property with 3.5% down. Some cases you can get 0% down loans like a VA loan, or you can just use a conventional 5% down loan. It all comes down to your personal situation. And I made a whole nother video about house hacking on my channel, so I'll link that above. And now listen, this is one of the biggest reasons that I think real estate is the best way to create wealth. You can leverage other people's money, the banks, in order to buy multi-million-dollar properties for just a few $1,000s out of pocket. So when you do buy your first property, you can use a 0%, 3.5%, or 5% down payment loan. And this is where things really get crazy. As long as you live in the property for at least 1 year as your primary residence, you can go out and buy a new primary residence with a 3.5 or 5% down payment loan, live in the new property, rent out your other unit you were living in, make profit from the first property, and use that to qualify for more loans. And this is how you start really building a portfolio in real estate with very little money. You keep doing this over and over as many times as you can, or at least as many times as you need to, until you get to a point that you're creating so much income, so much wealth that you have money to go out and pay cash for properties. Let's say you did this 5 times in 5 years. You could have anywhere from 10 to 20 units depending on what type of properties you buy. So you could be collecting as many as 20 rent checks just in 5 years. And the great thing about this is most of these properties will then be cash flowing, and on top of that, your renters will be paying down the principal, and you'll have that adding to your net worth every single year. But I know a lot of you are probably thinking, but if I use these low down payment loans and pay less than 20% down, I have to pay PMI or MIP, which is just mortgage insurance. Yes, that's true, but imagine your tenants are paying this, and after just a couple of years, your property should have appreciated enough and your principal pay down should have paid down enough that your property will have enough equity where you can refinance that MIP out of the loan. And that will only add to your cash flow as well. And so I'm doing the same thing today as well as what I'm recommending. I'm buying a house with a low down payment mortgage that's going to be my primary residence that has 3 units in total. So I'll be collecting rent on 2 of them while I live in 1 of them. And in my case, I'm going to be making a few $100s a month even living in 1 of the 3 units. So as soon as I move out of this property in the future, I will be able to rent this property out and the property will be cash flowing about double what the mortgage payment is, which is a really great cash on cash return. Personally, that's why I think real estate investing is the best way to become a millionaire. And more importantly, this is how any one of you can create real wealth through real estate investing. I'm telling you, coming from a family with no money, getting into real estate investing was the best choice I ever made. And it's really opening up a lot of doors for me and my family. And I share all this because I'm not some genius that knows everything, that went to college, got an MBA or anything like that. I'm just a regular person from a regular family, from a regular town with very little money that was able to make a few decisions in my life to really change the trajectory of my future. And since you're watching this video and you've made it this far, I'm assuming you want to change something in your life. Make sure to hit the like button down below if you enjoy this video. So anyways, thank you for watching and I'll see you in my next video.